So that is pretty sweet, right? All right, seriously, guys, let's get down to business a little bit. What's there's so much to talk about. All right, so Scott, we wanted to talk about. I guess we can start a little bit about your experience with the Lorcana challenges, right?
Yep.
We kind of talk. Me and Dick talk about them a little bit on our drive home, a little bit drive to. But I want to give you the opportunity, kind of to like tell your feelings throughout the week and how it went.
It was completely overwhelming. I haven't had felt that way since probably Magic Grand Prix in the early 2000s. Um, just the sheer number of people that were there for one event. I mean, I've been to Gen Con many times over the years. I've been to World of Warcraft Dark Moon fairs. This was actually bigger, I think, than any World of Warcraft Dark Moon fair I'd been to before. So to have all these people in one room for one game is what was really overwhelming to me. It wasn't really till I got to the room, um, and seeing all the dealers. I know it's weird, but like that's really what crystallized it for me, because a lot of these dealers I had seen in things like Star City events before, and they would have like, if you've ever been to like a TCG event, they have multiple tables of Magic cards and like tables of Pokemon cards. If you're a Gen Con, like the big dealers have like tables upon tables of like the big games, right? Well, here they had tables upon tables of just Lorcana, and it was like just these ridiculous collections of like PSA 10 this, PSA 10 that, D23 cards. Some dealers had like like entire cases full of enchanteds, like insane buy lists, and like it just crystallized for me that like the 7 or 8 dealers that were there really felt like this was something they should be a part of, and probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars like obtaining inventory. And then when you have like, it seemed like 3 to 5 thousand people total. It had to be more than 3,000, because 2,000 people were playing in the event. There was definitely at least more than 1,000 other people that were there. I don't know what the actual numbers were between everybody that showed up, but like I have to imagine it was like close to four, like high threes, low 4,000s. It was just very overwhelming, like in a positive way. Like there were so many people there. Um, that were just there for Lorcana. Like I said, I've been to Gen Con many times, and it was like, you know, every game is represented, and Lorcana was obviously the biggest thing that was there last year, but it wasn't like everywhere you look, it was just Lorcana. Like there's still a zillion games to play. Here it was just Lorcana. So I think just walking through the room, I felt like the future for this game is like brighter than ever.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. It is interesting. I can remember definitely from Transformers where we would hear like the unique registration number. You
Sure.
know,
Hmm.
I didn't remember hearing that. I'm actually curious. I might try and find that answer out because I think you're right. I think there was well over 1,000 attendees.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Not counting the fake attendees.
well, sure. But like I just remember walking into the room Saturday morning, and I just like I was blown away
Hmm.
instantly. And I've been in rooms with 2,000 people before. That's not
Sure.
shocking. Like I've been to Gen Con and PAX Unplugged and things like that, where like these rooms are huge. And even like Star City Games, honestly, as a really fair example,
Sure.
I felt, and maybe I'm if anyone was at both of these, they can let me know how they feel. But I felt that Lorcana DLC in Atlanta had more people in the room than SCG Richmond did just a month ago. I felt SCG Richmond was super, super low in terms of attendance across all games. And when I walked into this room, I was like, wow. Like
Mhm.
I I I couldn't believe it. I actually took a picture. We got basically to the front of the room, and once we got into like I did like a full circle almost, and I ended up right next to where you would turn your tickets in at the end of the weekend to like get your cards. And I took a picture of all four sides of the room, and like you could you just like I could touch someone in
Yeah.
any direction I went to. And it was like that from wall to wall. It was kind of insane.
The side events on Sunday, like I would have classified as like the largest event that I'd ever been to. I took a picture. I took 4 separate pictures, sort of like you, of just side events. and like you played in like 100 person
200.
sealed event. Yeah,
200-person
200
sealed
person
event on
sealed event
Sunday.
at what, like
At
4 o'clock on a
4:30.
Sunday?
At 4:30 in the afternoon, there was 200
Right,
registered players for a Sunday sealed. I mean, that's insane.
right. I mean, like I only played in drafts, but like any one of those constructed or sealed like non 8-man pod type events had a ton of people, and this was like side events. I mean, granted, we'll get into it, but I'm sure, but like the side events were insane. But nonetheless, like it was awesome. It was just totally awesome. Like there's no other words. There was really no other word to describe it. To be honest
Yeah, your comment about overwhelming was just like it was just true. It almost feels like unexpected, even though we knew it was a sellout, right? Like we knew it was a sellout. We
yeah,
knew there was going to be potentially over 2,000 competitors. We didn't actually hit that number. Um, I guess people don't like money and they just,
right.
like they just threw away $50. I don't know, hard to say, right? Thanks for the Twitch sub there. Seems plus. Oh, is that Rob? I wonder if it's Rob. But yeah, it was pretty great,
Yeah, it
They
really
get rid of
was.
the cap for side events. At some events at 200 plus. Yeah, like I said, mine on Sunday at 4 was definitely it was 200 people in melee, which was
Mhm.
crazy. Now,
Yeah,
granted, it didn't change like the length of the event. It was still like go 3-0 and get the same price tickets or anything
right,
like that. But
right,
it
right.
was still like they let 200 people register for a tournament at 4:30 on Sunday, which obviously they expected. I think people were getting kicked out around like 9 o'clock that night. So as things were ending.
I
Uh,
had no
um,
concept of time on any day that we were there.
yeah.
So
Oh
none.
my goodness! Holy! Thank you so much. We just got 10 community subs
Oh, sweet.
from Steams Plus. That was very, very kind of you. Thank you so, so, so much. Um, yeah, I mean, it's kind of insane, when you really think about it. Like, he's saying there were issues, right? I know the side events on Sunday had like insane amounts of issues, right? But the reason why they had issues, from what I understood, was that online was crashing for people trying to register.
Yeah,
So if 200 people are trying to register for a side event that only said 64, you couldn't actually get in, Um you are the best. Thank you so much, sir. That was too kind. I love the goat emojis. They're my favorite.
I was gonna say those are
Um,
awesome. Those are awesome.
like seriously, a huge shout out to you. Thank you so much. Um, so yeah, the whole reason why that whole line even started was because the servers were just crashing like upon release, and it was I guess they just decided, hey, it was easier to deal with the in-person long line. If someone was there and can confirm this, I can tell you that I had an alarm set on my phone for 9:29 to register for the 10:30 sealed event. And then when they announced they were doing people only line, I said, I'm not playing this morning. I just was
Yeah.
like, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But I heard they were giving out promos or something like that in line. So I guess, yeah, we waited. You might have waited an extra time or something like that. But if you got a promo, then hopefully it was okay. Online was, yeah. So there was also this. So they were
Yeah.
seeing 67, 64, and they couldn't increase it for some reason. I didn't get all the details because I ended up just walking around and mingling all day, like all Sunday morning. I just talked to like anybody that wanted to talk, in all honesty. Um, but yeah, so listen, I think for me personally, the main event itself for 1,990 plus
Yeah.
players, aside from some melee issues, it ran pretty well. And as the rounds went on, we had seen them kind of even evolve and create new ways to like get people their pairings.
Yeah.
I am very fortunate, and my last name is Arnold. So in the Discord, when they hit at everyone and they sent the PDF out, I was number 5 on the list, so I could find my seat instantly. It was pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
That link. Once you understood to go to that link instead of using melee, it was a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. So first one, they literally figured out better ways to do it
Yeah.
during the event. I mean, you can't ask for much more. Like they're kind of like evolving through these. So now we know in Chicago, we're going to know round one, like just be in the Pro Play Games Discord and you're going to get that and then you're going to get your, your stuff right away. But I can tell you, obviously we had 45-minute rounds, but they were really like hour and 5, maybe even hour and 10, because not everything was finishing on time. So we were waiting for games to end. We were waiting for games to be reported. And then of course we were waiting for players to actually get their seating. I think in 8 of my 9 rounds, I sat down like 5 minutes before my opponent, like
Okay.
several minutes before like my opponents would sit down. So it was definitely a struggle, but like I said, they had to learn, they had to figure it out, right? Can you post the link? Yeah, of course I can. I will do that.
A
Anything to
bunch
add?
of my rounds started early. Did a bunch of yours because like both players were there? They said we could just start.
So, I was like I was a little worried in round 1. I think they waited for everyone to sit down, but a bunch of people, when I sat down for round 2, a bunch of people around us said, "Oh, the judges all said that we could start like when we sat down." I was like, I don't know about that, So like, I then asked the judge, I'm like, "Hey, judge, like, can we start?" He goes, "Yeah, you can start." I was like, "Okay." I was like, because I was a little worried. I was like, last thing I want to do. Now I do know. Speaking of that, let me get this Discord invite real quick. All right, so we're gonna post it here. It's gonna go everywhere. I think this should work. Here we go. I see it on Twitch. I see it on Facebook. I see it on Twitter. Send it, maybe, hopefully. Maybe it didn't go to Twitter. I'm not sure. It went to a couple. It might not have went to Twitter, so I'm sorry. But yeah, so I guess that like maybe this is also part of the reason why I got done some of my rounds like so quickly.
Yeah.
Because I know I think it was round 7, I was done my match, and there was still like 35 minutes on the clock or something like that. So I had just like I had ran through the match so quickly. But I'm pretty confident that we started, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before the timer started. So
Sure.
I guess that's cool. That's definitely a way to avoid time and round. Although in 2-game format, I don't know. I have played some red blue mirrors for set 4, and they might be a bit grindy. So we'll have to see how that goes. Anything else you want to talk specifically? There is some specific things you want to talk about, but anything just about the event itself.
No, I this is my first major event using any kind of online. Well, this first event of this size, obviously using any kind of online pairing software.
Yeah, I mean, because we did it at Gen Con.
Yeah,
we do it at Star Cities.
But this is bigger.
Like, yeah, I mean, Philadelphia was 175 players. Well, actually, Miami last year, Miami TCGCon had more players, but we didn't use Melee.
We used East Coast pairings or whatever.
Yeah. And there was a lot of like complaints about it, and what I don't think people realized is like, yeah, we had 2,000 people in the room for Melee that day, but there was also 2,000 people across the pond that were using it, and then not to mention the entire server as a whole for any other game that uses Melee. Like there might have been like, I don't know, 10,000 active users at any given moment that day, spread out across the globe. So it's not something that you can really guarantee on. We hope we live and they learn, and we increase the power a little bit. But to my knowledge, Melee is still pretty young as well. So
I mean, I'm not going to defend Melee.
No, I'm not defending them. I'm just saying, like, just so people understand, like, how many active users were really going on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you pay a fee for every single person that uses it, so there's no way I'm going to defend it.
That's very true. That's very, very true.
I understand that they can hopefully learn from it, but there's no way I'm going to defend it. It's better than like a pairings board. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to defend like.
It's way better than a pairings board. It's like it's not even close.
Right.
Like just way better. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's better than paper tickets like Gen Con uses. For example,
no, Gen Con is the absolute worst. So I definitely, go back 8 months and find one of our early podcasts. I shit talk Gen Con plenty.
Oh yeah.
We're not here to do that today.
So much so that we're probably not going to go this year.
Yeah, literally, I don't even want to go this year. I want nothing to do with it. Scott will be in Italy. I'm just like, no, I don't want to go anyway.
Assuming I can get a ticket, yeah.
That's fair. Well, you're going to go to Italy no matter what, probably.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to talk a little bit about the prizing structure,
Sure.
right? Uh, let's start from the top, right? So 2,000 players down to 64.
Yep.
Where's our feeling out on that after the first one?
I mean, I think you have to cut it at some point. Like if you wanted to say like 128 or 256, I'm fine with that. It doesn't really matter to me. The issue is everything has to be cut at some point.
Sure.
So if you're saying, I guess it depends on what you consider to be an accomplishment of this,
Sure.
and how much time logistically they have to actually do anything. Like, I think they only had time logistically because I don't know. I think I was in that draft that started at 4.
Yeah.
I finished my first round when the finals were over. Now, granted, they took a lunch break in day 2, which is just ridiculous. So
no, that can't be true.
yeah, they did. They took a lunch break in day 2.
No,
So
I know. No, I'm talking about you finishing your first round.
it felt that way to me. Like it was
It had to be at least your second, I think.
well, because I had a draft too. Don't forget, I had actually.
No, I know, but it was pretty late. Like it was like
6
7.
o'clock?
No, it was later than that, I believe. I thought it was
Again,
closer. I think your
no
time.
concept of time.
I think your time is off. It was closer
Yeah.
to like 7:30, 7:45, I believe.
Okay. So if you would have added quadruple the number of people, we never would have got out of there.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even start until 10 a.m. on Sunday. And because we had an hour, because we had to show up at 8:30, fill out our deck list in front of our opponents, like sort our decks. They had to be checked. Our decks had to be checked in of
See, this guy
all that
knows.
stuff.
This guy got you.
Oh, see in my draft. See, I was in the middle of round 2. I was right. See,
No, you said round 1.
I said round 1 had ended.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair.
So there's a lot of logistical things we had to do before the tournament. Like we didn't start play until 10 o'clock. We had to be there at 8:30. So I don't think.
I mean, that was crazy.
So I think if more people would have made it, there just wasn't time.
Well, there is time if you don't have lunch. There is time.
Right.
I haven't gone back and watched anything because I wasn't like I'm not trying to shots fire here anybody. I'm not going to go and watch someone that stole content from Disney Lorcana and put it on their YouTube because that's ridiculous. So I didn't support any of those things. So I didn't go back and watch the games. But what I was told was that the top 16 was best of 5, I believe. So that adds time. That's going to add time in round. I maybe I'm wrong.
They didn't say that at all in the.
I heard from someone that top 16 went. So after the lunch, it was supposed to go to top. Maybe they didn't. That's what I heard. Like I said, I didn't go back and watch anything because I'm not going to support people that are stealing content. So, but it's one of those where obviously day 1 we left pretty late, right? I mean, it was
allegedly.
It was definitely late on day 1. I mean, we were eating Burger King at like 11 o'clock at night. So.
That was a mistake. $67 Burger King order, I might add.
$67 for 5 individuals in one car.
Yeah,
we got to shut up Burger King. Everything was right. Like, that Burger King in Atlanta was legit.
Yeah, it's the only thing open by the time we get out.
Yeah, it really was. It was pretty rough. And then like Sunday night was also very rough. It took us like 3 tries to find somewhere to eat dinner.
We ate the same place that had lunch.
We did eat at the same place. Was it just called The Bar? Right?
No, it was something bar. I forgot what it was called.
I think it was just good. It was just like The Bar. It was delicious. The food was very good.
I forgot it was Memorial Day weekend until that night, so like that got everything messed up.
Yeah, it was rough, guys. I'm sorry. I'm off track. We're off track.
Back to the original point. I think you just have to cut it somewhere, and if they say, given the time constraints, they have to cut it at top 64, I'm fine with it. I mean, ultimately, the prizing wouldn't change. So like
Park Bar.
Everyone
knows, man. Yeah. This is it. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Park Bar was delicious.
Yeah. So if you had said 128 and they all get a
shout out to Melissa
and they all get a let it go.
Yes.
Then,
just keep moving it. Maybe someone will be able to see it.
There we go.
Kind of.
My face. Like if you said that like you don't get your let it go until you show up for day 2 and it's 128, fine. And then everyone that has the same number of points as the 128 person also gets one. They can pick it up on Saturday. Whatever. I'm fine with that. if there's time and logistical time to do it. But you have to make a cut somewhere, and they just decided to make it at 64. Is it rough? Yes, but I mean,
Yeah.
I know other games that like only cut the top 8, so like
Yeah.
it's not the
Uh,
biggest game in the world.
I mean, yeah, but you could also just make the argument that instead of doing a single elimination tournament, you can just take the top, whatever the number is, play more Swiss, and then cut to a top 8.
Right, then you're a Grand Prix.
Right. So, like, really what that ends up doing is, like, you can just be like, oh, we're going to basically Grand Prix is the prime example here of, like, okay, 7-2, whatever that number of points is for us.
Right.
Everyone that has that point total, let's just say the number is 44. Everyone at 44 points makes day 2, period.
Right.
Doesn't matter how many people there are. And that would have been, I think it would have been an odd amount of people, which is interesting, but is what it is. So yeah,
I mean, you could have done it that way. They just don't, and it doesn't really matter to me one way or the other.
Sure.
Because the prizing is ultimately the same.
Right.
Like not really. I mean, like top 64 gets a different prize, but like if you're going to cut it somewhere, you got to cut it somewhere. So it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think it's not going to matter. It's not going to be important for Chicago because Chicago's only 1,000, so it's like literally 1,000 less people. I just think that when we start talking about 2,000 players, first and foremost, if you finish in the top 256 players and you didn't get like any prize whatsoever, I don't think that's correct. I think that they should have gotten like anything other than 0. I think prize tickets would have been smart because it's like, hey, here's some prize tickets, and maybe you just give them like 10. And this is just because I'm a business person as well. Like if you give them 10, it means the next day they have to sign up and they have to at least get like they have to sign up and play their round to get 12 to get a Cinderella. So at least it incentivizes people to come back. And if they can't come back, then they go and they spend their 10 tickets and they buy a hat. Whatever,
I'd probably give them 6, but that's just me.
I just something,
Give 'em half.
I mean, 2,000 player tournament, you finish in the top 10% and you get nothing. It just, I don't know. It doesn't feel very good to me. I think there should be some level of prize there, but
you're a millennial, so you want your participation prize.
I don't want to. That is not a participation prize. I mean, you're talking people that had 42 points. Shit, it's not participation at all. Participation was the Dragonfire. Like, so if you finished in 150th place, you got the same amount of entry as the guy who finished in 1993rd.
And this guy, we got this guy too.
Yeah, the Donald for like it was actually confusing because like when my judge put it down, all I saw was the Donald at first. I was like, what the hell's this? Where's my Dragonfire? So yeah. But the top 64, you did get a Cinderella, right?
I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer, but that's okay. Here's my Cinderella.
All right. So now let's talk about this. All right. So
it's not shiny either. There we go. It's shiny.
It's really difficult, man. You got like a bright light on you.
No, I turned the bright light. I turned the bright light off. I don't know why it's so.
It's still, then your computer screen is like not dark mode.
Yes. Like your phone, my computer screen is not.
Yes. It's just like that. So this was the interesting thing here, and the difference between like this is crazy to say, but the difference between 64th and 65th place is like $5,000.
How far do you want to take this conversation?
This is the conversation we're about to start. We're about to have this conversation about the difference of layers of every single round you play in single elimination.
Yeah.
So because you got bubbled out and you finished 65th, you legitimately lost out on $5,000.
Yes.
And every round, this only gets worse probably. So let's
exponentially worse.
Yeah, go ahead. Walk me through it.
So top 64 gets Cinderella. I'm hoping to get between $4,000 and $5,000 for her. Next, if you make top 32, you got the Rapunzel, the foil one. I have non-foil ones here, but the foil ones. And I've heard and seen her being asked for like $12,000, and I know someone that sold a bunch of stuff, and she would be around that price considering he sold all his stuff together.
Right.
So let's just call her $11,000 to $12,000.
Sure.
So your first round match, which I lost, in top 64, you're playing for $10,000 to $12,000 right there and then.
It's almost like just like going all in poker and just like hoping to double up.
It's crazy. So you win 4 to 5. You're playing for 10 to 12. Now you're a top 32. So now, if you win again, you get the playmat, which that's the only prize that like I don't really understand the value of yet because I haven't seen it in a lot of people listing it, but it's almost like the playmat is like another $5,000, which is kind of odd. It's just the way the prizes worked out. Like I think they're just not as sought after as the cards themselves. So the playmat's probably worth about $5,000, which kind of drops this argument. So let's just leave the playmat on the side, but you pretty much are playing for $5,000 going from top 32 to top 16. So then once you're in top 16 and you're playing for top 8, now we hit insane money. So you went from $5,000, $10,000 to $12,000, another $5,000. Now you're playing for Golden Mickey. Now, if you keep the math going, I assumed that the Mickey, given the fact that it's also a serialized card, it's gold plated or foiled or whatever, I assumed that a fair value for it would be about $35,000. That being said, I know people in the top 8 are trying to get between $70,000 and $75,000 for it. So I don't know. I haven't seen any sold yet. I've heard rumors that one sold for $70,000, but I don't know that. I'll be curious to see when they do sell. But my original estimate was they're going to be worth about $35,000. Now I'm hearing double that. Fine. So now you're talking about you're playing a match for it's double that.
I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah. So now you're in top 8. That's to me, that's really like where this stops.
Sure.
I mean, obviously you want to win, obviously you want to keep going, but like top 4 got a couple boxes on top of that or something like that, or prize tickets or something ridiculously low.
They did get. I heard they got the prize tickets to buy the Cinderella playmat. So.
Oh, okay. So they upped it then. So that's another $5,000. So
Yeah.
it's not a curve that goes like this. It is for the cards, but it's not for all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously the winner gets a full play set of a full set of enchanteds and foils from, in this situation, it was Into the Inklands. So I mean that's like another, $10,000 there or something like that. That might even be too high, but like that's like it's easily like another $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 right there. So if you look at just the cards themselves, it's almost doubling every single round. 5,000 for the Cinderella, 4 to 5 for Cinderella, 10 to 12 for Rapunzel, but then you go exponentially up to the Mickey, which is like, I thought 35 was fair going according to this curve, but in reality, it's probably $70,000 to $75,000. And I know, like, I'm not a big I don't play Magic, but I know in Magic, like certain numbers on the serialized cards are worth even more. So like
right.
420, things like that are obviously worth infinite. Like,
yeah.
But even like the top 10 are worth a lot. Like number 100 will be worth a lot. Number 500 will be worth a lot, like etc. So I don't know if like 1, 2, 3 is worth a lot, or 3, 4, 5 or anything like that. But whatever, it's better than like 2, 6, 1 or something like that. So the point is, I feel if you make top 8 of one of these events, it's literally life-changing money.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a year's worth of salary for like majority of people.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's basically like a year's worth of salary for like a very good employee.
Yeah. So and that's in addition to you get easily $250 just for signing up for the Dragonfire. Like you can easily blow them out at $250. Like as long as anybody will pay $250 for them.
Sure.
So you're getting $250 for the Dragonfire. You're getting like $50 to $60 for a Flotsam and Jetsam if you show up a day early, like which you should be doing anyway. You don't want to show up the day of anyway. And then they threw in a Scrooge that you can get like $30 for. So if you add that all up and you're making like $350 just for showing up, like, I mean, we happen to live only 2 hours away. We paid for the Airbnb, like whatever, but like you're automatically like, I'm making $350 just for showing up. Like that's really good. I think that you should make every attempt to play in these things, whether a competitive player or not, because like it's just for the experience. It's worth like spending whatever just to be there.
Yeah, for me, like after, especially like really looking around the room, every single round, looking around the players around me, I mean, anybody was playing in this,
Yeah.
like that top 64. If you started the day and let's just say somehow you had the information that you knew every good Lorcana player in the game, I can guarantee you people would have picked the top 64 and they wouldn't have been right. Like there
Yeah.
was players that earned their spot and utilized the system of the 2 game point system, in all honesty, to their advantage. I think that's crazy. Like, but the point is that just to experience it, and even if you just come as an attendee, like just to be here, to be a part of it,
Yep.
I felt like so excited just to be able to like be there and be in the room for the first one, let alone like all of the, I'm going to Chicago, I'm going to Texas, I'm planning on going to Toronto. Like, I don't want to miss any of these because that's how much fun they were.
Yeah. And you want to talk about side events now and what they're worth?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about some side events.
Sure. So essentially, so on Sunday, you have to understand after the melee debacle, they doubled the number of tickets they were giving out for signing up and placing in side events. I'm not sure that will happen every single time, but that's a huge factor in your ability to actually obtain prizes. Because what was happening was if you went 3-0 in any one event, you're basically getting 2 tickets per win in any event. And if you
on
went
on
3-0,
on Sunday.
no, in general.
Oh
In
yeah, yeah.
general,
The normal payout was like 9 total tickets for your entry.
it
If
was two
three
tickets, right? Right, two for
Yeah,
signing up and two per win. And then if you went 3-0, you got an extra ticket, kind of
yeah,
like the bonus point in the 2 game system.
yeah,
So you were normally you sign up and you went 3-0 for that entire event. You got 9 tickets,
yeah.
but you needed 12 to get a Cinderella, 14 to get a Rapunzel, and then like an insane amount to get 100 to get the Cinderella playmat. And
Right,
there's a bunch of other stuff you could have got in between. So, but those are the prizes that matter, in my opinion.
right,
So the next day on Sunday after the melee debacle, they doubled everything. So
right.
now you got 4 tickets for signing up, and you can win up to a total of 18 if you went 3-0 an event. And I know if you like win a multiplayer, you got even more than that.
Yeah,
So you were basically playing on day 2 with the double prizes. Like it was almost like playing in a set championship. You were
yeah.
literally winning enough tickets to go 3-0 in any one side event to get a Rapunzel, which are going for like $400. So like it's a slightly less than what a Stitch was going for, but I mean like you're literally like being able to play in multiple events in a day where it's like playing in multiple set championships in a day.
Right.
Now, my biggest issue with Atlanta and with any of these events is that I think they should be 3-day events.
Oh
Personally,
yeah, my God. Like where?
you
Like
know,
just give it to me. Like
yeah,
if check-in is gonna be Friday anyway,
right,
right? Like make check-in start at 1
yeah.
and then just have afternoon events. Like I
Or
would
start the actual event on a Friday. I could care less. Like that's the way
uh
most pro tours are.
I
So
mean, that's like a whole other thing. That's almost making it a 4-day event. In all honesty, I don't know how fair that
yeah,
is, but just having something there to do on
yeah,
Friday night that's not just check in, I think that would be great.
yeah,
Like just go in, play a draft
yeah.
Friday night. All right, whatever. Just get in that last minute rep in a small tournament for your deck. That's like a slam dunk if they can figure that out. In my
Yeah,
opinion,
I agree.
I know that they have to like all the judges were there on site.
Yeah,
They were there through check-in, so it's not like they don't have judge problems. This is definitely only probably about having the room correctly set up. But even if you get half the room set up and you just have a side event area, like whatever, man, just get something going. I think that would be absolute slam dunk.
so under normal payouts, I mean, you're literally pretty much playing in a set championship every single time you're playing in any one of these side events, and that's
Yeah,
just awesome. That's just awesome.
it is great. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that like these will hold value through like if it's the same ones for 6, 7, 8 months. I mean,
Yeah,
eventually they're not going to be $300, $400 tickets, right? Like they're going
sure.
to be $100, $200. So they're not going to be as close to the set champs. Even right now, like yeah, it's nice that they're $400 right now. Maybe by the time the playmat is still worth it, so maybe there's more like it turns into be more EV to like get the playmat than it is to get that. What I can say is if anybody asked me right now how many of those playmats exist, I would have to say that there's like
It's four.
less than
It's four.
12 total in the world.
I've heard it's four
No, there was
in the
four.
U.S.
There was four there like when I was in the room paying attention. So like,
Oh, I heard it was
it
only
has to
4.
be more, in my opinion. Thank you for the sub, Uncle Jasper. Um, every time they clapped, like whenever you hear like a
Yeah.
lot of claps, it wasn't for the top 8 because that was the only time we had heard really anything about the main event. I will say that, and I don't know if this is just a me thing or it's whatever. It's because of the way it's streamed. The one thing I wish they did differently is I wish there was like some update on how the tournament
Yeah.
is going. Like the fact that I have to like walk in after lunch and basically nobody knows who is even in like the top 8. I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Like the whole area, for anyone that wasn't there, the whole area was like clothed off because of the way they did the streaming tables. So they
You want
brought
my
the
badge?
what?
My number 2 badge?
What?
You weren't allowed to get in that area.
No,
Until
yeah, no. I'm not. I'm talking about the top
it had
8.
this little number 2 thing.
No, but that's not even what I'm talking about. The top
Oh,
8
okay.
was like completely concealed off.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't even see them because they were all behind the curtains. You know, like Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz behind the
Yeah.
curtain thing. You know, like so. Because of that, you had no idea who was playing. You didn't know what you just didn't know any information. And I know a lot of that was because the stream was being delayed, but I think as a competitor in the room, it was really upsetting that I couldn't just be like, oh, hey, what's going on? Like, is there a feature area? Like the fact that the feature match area was just like behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not much of a fan of it. What I would like to see change is there be like some type of monitor added
Yeah.
to
Yep.
the room. Like
Yep.
let the people in the room watch the games. Like I shouldn't have
Yeah.
to take out my phone and watch the stream. You know, like
3
that
hours.
seems
3 hours delayed.
right. Like that seems so silly. So I just think that having some feature match set up to where we like your round end, you just want to go check out the feature match. Like you should be able to do that. You know, that's where I'm at. Especially because the top cut was open deck list anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whatever. I just where I'm at. I really wish that there was a way for the competitors in the room, if they wanted to, they could have watched
Yeah.
the tournament.
I agree.
So that's probably something I really hadn't thought about it until right now. Just reminded myself how upset I was on Sunday when I had no idea what was going on.
That's true. That's a good point.
Coming from covering Pokemon is crazy that there's no way to see the games. Yeah, I mean seriously, like there's just it was mind boggling to me. It really really was. Huh.
I mean, even in Miami, they had a raised
Yes.
area.
They had like a whole seating area for
Yeah,
it
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like there was like chairs lined up. There was
yeah,
a like
yeah,
I don't know. It feels pretty easy.
yeah.
That's crazy. Like this is insane. Like I was playing the winner's girlfriend in draft, and she up and left because she heard her boyfriend won. Well, yeah, no shit. But it's crazy that she couldn't even watch. You know, like she couldn't even be a part of it. That's insane. Oh, so I don't know. Anything else?
I can't recommend going to these events higher.
Yeah, no. It was. I'm 35 years old. I've been traveling to conventions since I was 17, I think. So you're talking 17 years I've done this. I've gone to these conventions. Without a shadow of a doubt, this weekend was the best one I've ever attended. Slam dunk. Like it's not even close. It's a slam dunk. That's how good it was. Uh, if you can get a ticket, you should go to these things. It's beyond worth it. Even as an attendee, like we just said, like even
Yeah,
as an attendee, if all you did was play for tickets all weekend long, you would have tripled or quadrupled your money. Like in all honesty.
and I do want to thank everyone that I met. It was
Oh
great.
my
It was
god.
so cool to meet people, and it was overwhelming to like the number of people I met, number of selfies I took, and all this stuff. Like it was really overwhelming. It was awesome. Thank you to everybody I met and didn't have a chance to meet. I honestly believe, and this might be a controversial way of saying this, but like if you're in the Disney Lorcana space and you didn't go to a DLC and you don't plan on going anytime soon until there's one like in your backyard, I think you're incorrect.
I'm gonna go to every single one of these that I can go to. Like it's not close.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous not to.
Yeah. Yeah.
After seeing, like you said, the top eight is legitimately life altering money, like
Yeah.
life altering.
Yeah.
So it's insane. It's honestly insane. If you no, get your passport, go to Canada. I'm telling you, come come join me. I'll be in Canada. Like I'm just seriously, get your
I'm only
passport.
skipping Canada and Fort Worth because I'm going to Italy. So
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
I mean, whatever. You're gonna
Mhm.
have fun in Italy, so that's cool.
For
Um,
Lorcana, I'm going
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
Italy and Lorcana.
yeah, yeah. Um,
That's our Sunday picture.
yeah. So this is the Sunday picture, and it was specifically in front of the Forbidden Mountain. And like, in all honesty, guys, like, it took me all week to find the whole weekend. I had seen pictures of a Forbidden Mountain side event sign. I had no idea where it was. When someone showed me, and I'm like, wow, I stood in front of that for like a half hour.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what the line formed from. The massive line came from this angle. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was cracking up. Um, but yeah, just to kind of touch on Scott, like, shout out to the gamer for sure. But like we had met so many people, it was so much fun. I'm kind of just like showing my like library here of stuff, and it really was a blast. I had so much fun. The event in its entirety was phenomenal. Everyone that walked up spoke to me, shook my hand, fist bumps, asked me to sign something. It was phenomenal. I can't wait. Like the idea that we're going to be at one of these again next weekend is mind boggling, if I'm being
Yes.
honest.
Yes.
Because it was that great. It really was. Like, look at this. Like, look at the amount of people in this room. I was
Yeah.
on, I was like really close to like the bottom right corner, like where we would exit after
Yeah.
round one because they kicked everyone out. So this
Yeah.
is pretty close to the wall of a shot of the room of the amount
Okay.
of competitors that were in that room. Like
That was
that's
during and that was during the event.
this was during the player meeting.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, this is round one player meeting.
Okay.
Um, insane. Like just yeah. So this is from table 709. That was where I sat for player meetings, and then this is what I was talking about early on. This was 4 shots of the room before the player meetings. Like it's just a filled room. I mean, this room is just insane. It's crazy. It really was. It was such a good time. Shout out to Jorge. He brought me coffee from Puerto Rico. That was awesome. We grilled Friday night. So we had an Airbnb. We grilled for the team on Friday night. That was great. Nice cheap dinner for everybody. This was the Friday check-in spot. So we got Ursi and George included, Kyle and Nate and others. Kind of everyone's there hanging out. And yeah, this was great. It was just a lot of fun. So I uh I I just I can't believe we're about to do it again.
I know this is some rough scheduling. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Oh, any last shots for DLC, Atlanta?
No, I'm very proud of my performance.
Jordan came out of retirement, guys. That's what Dick Burns kept saying all weekend, which was hilarious. I was so excited. Like I was like on the other side of the room. I see our DMs and I just saw that you hit 47 points. I was like, "Oh my god, I need to go hug Scott." I was so pumped. Oh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
it was
I
a good
I
weekend.
think I 2-0'd my last 3 or 4 matches in a row. Maybe
It had, I think it was 3. It was
yeah,
round 7, 8, and 9.
yeah.
Um, you got my. I did. Yes, I did. That was fun. What are your first impressions of set 4 games?
Uh, you better have an answer for Diablo on turn 2 and 3. I mean, honestly, like, and this is just my own problem. I think if you allow him to draw a couple cards, okay, just like Beast Tragic Hero. Like, I'm always like, man, I don't want my opponent to draw that card. But then I'm like, wait a minute, like Maleficent Sorceress comes into play and draws a card, and I'm not like upset when somebody plays that. So like,
Yeah.
someone's gonna play a 2/2 evasive that has to be exerted in order to draw one card, like a delayed reaction Maleficent Sorceress. It's not the biggest deal in the world. The problem is anything you're trying to do to get out from under him, they're also going to draw cards.
Right.
So So you either play with him, and that's not even a true statement. You have to have a way to deal with him, even if you are playing him. You have to have a way to deal with him. Um, so um, it's a polarizing meta as it stands right now. I think it's extremely unexplored. I've said
Yeah.
in many other places, I feel like the set overall is just underpowered compared to other sets. Um, a lot of the cards that are there are basically just adding to the power level of decks that already existed. So like you have your Sapphire Ruby, your Sapphire Steel. They're basically just getting like upgrades of cards that were like just not as good from before. Whether
Yeah.
it's like Scuttle, the Queen, um, another Popsicle, like you're just improving an existing archetype. I don't know how many new archetypes there are as a result of the set, other than a lot of the Emerald stuff. Like, I mean, obviously Emerald Steel was already, I think it was the most popular deck in Atlanta. We haven't gotten full
Oh
numbers on
no,
what
I would
yeah.
absolutely believe that it was Ruby Amethyst. I don't even think it's close.
Oh, okay. It was one of the more popular decks. So it's not
Yeah,
like Emerald was
it was probably second, but
yeah.
I think Ruby Amethyst was very likely the most played deck in
Okay.
Atlanta.
So it's not like it's coming out of nowhere. But it got a huge bump in what it can do in terms of power level. In terms of new decks, I still think there's room to be explored. I still think there's actually room to be explored within a color archetype. Like, you could play Ruby Amethyst aggro, you could play Ruby Amethyst control, you could
Right,
play,
right.
Ruby Sapphire aggro, you could play Ruby Sapphire control. Like, I think there's still things left to be explored. There just isn't time to do it before Chicago. So, shout out to those that if you're watching this after the fact and somebody found some hidden gem and took Chicago by storm with some unknown deck, more power to you. Just like what happened in Atlanta. Like, more power to you.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think for us, we're just fortunate, but like for Rise of the Floodborn, we had the first official constructed play 2 weeks after the release of it at PAX Unplugged. For Into the Inklands, we had SCG Philly 2 weeks after the release of Into the Inklands. For this, we have Chicago 3 weeks after the release. And what's crazy about this one in particular, now we are going to get a tournament this weekend. I haven't checked the numbers, but I'm sure it's going to be 300, 400 people in this tournament, maybe even more because it's the last one ever. So we're going to get a ton of data and information from that tournament. But that information is really just going to set the tone for what people should prepare for.
Yeah.
So if something comes out of this weekend, I feel bad for anyone going to Chicago that may have had it as a hidden gem, in all honesty, because we had just talked about this. A top 64 at a DM or at a DLC is approximately close to $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
The winner of this tournament won't even win anywhere close to that. Like, so when you look at it that way, you're like, man, if someone somehow leaks my deck, like this is gonna suck. If I had some really crazy strategy that no one's talking about, because in all honesty, there's not a lot of information out there. There hasn't been a lot of reported tournaments. One of the biggest ones reported was 8 Emerald Steel decks in the top 8. That's a great amount of information.
With
um,
everyone traveling back from Atlanta.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that too. Like there's a lot of, hey, uh the majority of the top competitive players globally were still playing set 3. Like I didn't play a single game of set 4 constructed until Wednesday morning after Atlanta. So I'm sure there's a bunch of players that didn't play any games until Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday morning, like whatever, because of Atlanta. So when you start thinking about those things, it shouldn't shock anybody that yeah, it's so clear that Emerald Steel's good and Ruby Sapphire's good and Amber Ruby got a bunch of new tools. Like those are the does, right? Like they're just like hit you in the face does. I think there's so much unexplored and there's a lot of potential out there. And I don't know that we're going to get there in time for Chicago. I can't like faithfully say that that's going to happen. But by the time we get to set champs, it could very well develop into a more interesting metagame that's not as reliant on like just having the god hand of Diablo, Bucky, Diablo, let the Storm Mage on, kill your guy, pass. Like
Mhm.
if that's what majority of games are decided on for the next 3 months, then the next time we live stream, it'll be about a ban list again.
It's only my top 64 match that gets draws like that every single time.
Yeah, that's all right. Can't win them all.
I mean,
Uh,
I played 7 games when we were practicing because I was done practicing. On Friday, we
yeah.
played 7 games of Emerald Steel versus Ruby Sapphire. And how did I act after the first 3 games of facing out?
I thought you were gonna pick Nate's deck up and throw it across the room.
Yep. But then, as long as I changed the deck a little bit and made sure I had the right cards in my hand off of Mulligan, and I won the next 4 games.
Yeah.
And he didn't have, and 2 of those games he had that same exact, like a lot of that hand. So like,
Yeah.
it's not like any of the stuff is unbeatable. You just have to understand what you're facing off against.
It's
It's just a lot more
polarizing, right?
it's
Like that's the
unforgiving.
problem.
Yeah, yeah,
People people remember how polarizing it is. So that's kind of
yeah.
part of the problem is that like you just remember when your opponent has Diablo Bucky and you're just like, great, like he had it again, like so you just remember those things so vividly. And I will say, I spent 5 hours playing. The games that you beat the deck, they're not always easy. They are a bit of a grind because your opponent, that deck has the ability to start really strong and then stick around a little longer, especially in worlds where you just like don't have like an immediate answer to Diablo. If Diablo sticks on the table and draws 2-3 extra cards,
Right,
it's just 2-3 extra more opportunities for your opponent to continue past the Diablo, and you're
right.
still kind of in this world like, man, I still have to answer that thing because otherwise every single time I draw a card, he draws a card. So yeah, it's good against Whole New World if they can't, like, for some crazy reason Whole New World can't answer Diablo. They're like, well, I can't play a Whole New World. My opponent will draw 14 cards. Like it's crazy stuff like that. Um, but I think there's plenty of innovation out there. I think it's just a matter of we didn't have a direct reason to really go ham on the format yet. And I'm still recovering from Atlanta, if you ask me. Like, I
Mhm.
fell asleep on the couch the other day just because of pure exhaustion.
I fell asleep on the couch today.
Pure exhaustion. Um, but a lot can be learned in a week. The tools are all there. Some of these players are, just incredible players that, given the opportunity, given the reps, given the platform, like I said, gigantic tournament hosted by the pack on Saturday. Like, a lot of results are going to come from that. A lot of information is going to come from that. We're lucky and fortunate enough to see every registered decks in those tournaments. So you're even going to see the entire metagame breakdown. I will definitely be covering it on Sunday, probably. Yeah, I'll probably have a full video out for it either Sunday night, if not Monday morning, because all that information is so readily available, which is great. I will miss those things. Hopefully, I'll be honest, with the way the metagame went, I personally wasn't concerned with what the like full breakdown of the meta looked like from Atlanta because the format was dead and it didn't
Right,
matter anymore. I felt
right.
like it felt weird for me to not want to care more, but it was
Yeah,
just kind of true. It's like, well, like they put us in this position to make this event literally instantly like irrelevant,
yeah.
So it sucks because that's kind of where we were, but that's not true for Chicago. In Chicago, hopefully we can see this full breakdown and we can understand what this full metagame looked like. We can see the conversion rate between the combinations and the top 64, things like that. That's what I'm hoping for. So, a lot covered in a short period of time there, Scott.
Yeah, I think, and for some of the earlier conversations around the values of cards and things like that, I think I'm just scratching the surface. Look for more for me for a larger breakdown on this because I think it's very important to understand.
Yeah. I've I missed the boat on some of these card games that have these outrageous promos
Mhm.
for like ridiculous prices. And when I first heard the Mickey was like potentially sold for $70,000+, I was like, that's crazy. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like 35,000 is crazy, right? Like, even that is like kind of insane to think I top eighted a tournament and I won like 40 grand. But
Oh no, because you also got a Rapunzel, a
right,
Cinderella,
right, right.
and a Let It Go.
Whatever.
Right.
Sure. But like, it's another thing to go, oh, I top eighted an event and I made like $100,000.
Sure.
Like, I mean, that's you
I mean,
can't
don't quote me because I don't know if this is still the way it
right
is.
like
I think
like
it's more. I think it's more than if you, if you're able to get what people are asking for the cards. I actually think it's more than like what a pro tour in Magic would give out. Like if you assume that the top eight are all worth close to $100,000, I don't think it's $1,000,000 for every pro tour, and that's essentially what is on the line to show up to this event.
I actually wish I kept this. Someone did the math,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the math for every Let It Go down, and what
Mm-hmm.
the average. It was a crazy number. Like it was. I wish I had bookmarked it or something. I can't even. I don't even want to like misrepresent what the number was, but it was outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of what in one room
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah, yeah,
on Saturday,
yeah,
what
yeah.
one room of like I don't have any on my table right now of vanilla envelopes was worth is yeah, of those like 149 of those were given out this weekend. Uh it was a crazy number, guys. It's a crazy number.
Here, so there was a Magic event that I can find right on Google right away, and it was a $500,000 prize pool. I would
Yeah,
say easily that, and
we
that's a pro tour.
we crushed it. It's not even close. The prize
It's not
pools
even
were
like it's
I
easily
think
double that in the room. It's not
it
even
might
close.
be triple that.
It's not even close.
I I want to say the number that I read was $1.4 million.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I think that was the number that I read.
And that includes
So
like all the Dragon Fires and stuff, or only from Let It Go down.
yes. So
Okay.
but like well actually it might not even been it might have just been including Let It Go Down.
Okay.
So 149 Let It Goes, if they're all 2,000, like you just
Oh, right.
start
Because
your math right there.
there's a
You
bunch
know?
of them. Yeah.
Right. 1 point it was definitely over $1 million in prizes. So
Oh yeah, easily.
you should you should get to the Lorcana challenges.
Just to play in the side events, like you're
Literally, like
playing.
if you can get an attendee badge, it's worth it. Really is. It really is.
You can easily earn. I think even without prizes doubling, you can easily earn in a full day of playing like 2 to 3 events. You should easily be able to earn a Cinderella and a Rapunzel, or multiples of them if you want, and that's like going to be anywhere from like as it stands right now, it's going to be like a $700 to $800 day for you.
Yeah. I
That's a
do wonder. I do wonder if they'll do double on Sunday, just to incentivize people to come.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if they doubled it because of the problems they were having with signups.
That's what they
You
said.
know, is that what they said?
That's what they said. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know, but if that meant more people playing and signing up,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Just for there
Yeah.
was like $25. You get 6 tickets. That's
Yeah.
halfway to a Cinderella. Cinderellas are like
Yeah.
$450 right now.
And I'm not suggesting anyone do this, but because I did see it happen multiple times. I mean, the cash value of a ticket was essentially anywhere from $15 to $20.
Right. So
When
that
you
$25 could just
yeah,
flip for 120 if you wanted to,
right,
like instantly.
right. So
But
like
you're not allowed to buy or sell tickets, guys.
no,
Don't.
but if
We're
you
not.
think
We're
about
not
what
promoting that.
if you think about what a card's worth and how many tickets you need to get it,
Yeah.
like it's easily like $20 to get a ticket because like you figure a Cinderella you can you know or a Rapunzel, divide that by the total number of tickets you need, that's your value right there. And like that's basically, you know, that's what you're getting just for signing up for the event itself, just for getting in the event. Yeah.
That is fair. Any last things we want to touch on here, Scott?
I mean, we could have talked about 2 game format. We don't need to right now.
We don't need to talk about that. We can talk about that after Chicago. And I don't know. personally, two things. If we want to literally just quickly touch on it. Whoa. Um, First thing, I believe that it did exactly what Ravensburger wanted it to do.
Mm-hmm.
It kept 300 people in the tournament until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is an actual goal that they wanted to hit. They were successful. The idea that in round 6 or round 7, I should say, I could have looked around the room and pretty much everyone I spoke to was still legitimately had an out to get in the top 64. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone did what Jordan did over here and went 3-0, 3-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. But the idea that you could do that and still make Scott finish 42nd. Like, he didn't finish 62nd. He finished 42nd. Like, he had enough points to accelerate himself into nearly the top half of the top 32. And that was because he was able to 3-0 the last 2 rounds and get the bonus points. It's one of those things where I know people were frustrated by it, but at the end of the day, if that was a best of 3 tournament, we would have been there till midnight.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Midnight. I mean, like, maybe if we're fucking lucky, but like, seriously, midnight is when we would have got out of that after 9 rounds. Now, granted, you probably would have had a lot more people drop, but that's also what they don't want. They want people playing in tournaments. They want people enjoying the game. Now, the weird thing for me was, I remember after like round 6, or it was like I think it was like walking around round 6, I had spoken to people that were actually mathematically eliminated, but there was no reason for them to leave the event because there
No
wasn't
more spots,
there wasn't any more side events.
yeah.
So that might be a missed opportunity. You might want some layer of like things going on past 6 o'clock at night for people to like play. Even if it's just something stupid, like even if you just have like a best of 1 or something, like just something for people to sign up in and win tickets in those later days, like even if it's just 8-man pods best of 1, like just something for people to actually sign up for and win a couple more tickets before Sunday. I don't know, just a thought, that's all.
The breakdown I liked was how many game wins you needed, no matter when you got them and how you got them. So
Yes.
I think you needed 14 game wins or 15 game wins over the course of the day, and that to me was more important than what else you did.
Right. That's fair.
So I enjoyed it. Didn't bother me.
No, I loved it. It is what it is. And I didn't even like go ham on Sunday like I could have, right? Like like I said, the moment I looked at that line, I was like, I'm not getting in that line. So we'll see if that happens again. Who knows, right? It was a really fun stream tonight. Honestly, guys, for the amount of subs, that was wonderful. Thank you. A shout out again to Cregan, Seams Plus. You were phenomenal. And Uncle Jasper, of course. A bunch of new follows. Throughout social media, we had over 215 people through all the platforms we were streaming to hanging out with us tonight. You guys are awesome. Thank you. You should be looking forward to this being a little more regular, whether it be me and Scott. I don't know. Dick Burns just keeps showing up in my house, so you never know what's possible there. I will say that because of some of the changes going on in the community, I'm going to be looking more and more to stream local events. So I'm in kind of already reaching out to other stores that I know host tournaments and starting to work out some things with them to maybe when I go to their events, we can stream it still so we can get more tabletop games in front of everyone's eyeballs. But Chicago next week. After Chicago, I think we can finally breathe, which is awesome. I'm looking forward to breathing. And then, yeah, we're going to get back to our normal regular content. Obviously, content has been much slower for us recently, mostly because it's just been hectic. It's been so busy. But seriously, guys, thanks everyone hanging out tonight. It was really, really awesome. And I'll catch you guys all next time. See you guys. Thanks for hanging